Hello, everybody out there in Ireland. Good afternoon. It is 12, almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I know I have been kind of inactive for a little bit. I got a fancy smancy, brand new, expensive, really cool camera that I've been playing around with. For my talking head episodes and stuff like that. This particular episode probably should have been used on that new camera, but I'm still I gotta, if I'm gonna use it, I gotta do lighting and all that other stuff, and I just don't have the time to do that right now. And like I said, I'm still kind of working on that. But yeah, I wanted to pop on for a minute. This news is already out there. People have ingested it. So let's get right to it. I am a little tired. I do suffer from insomnia. I had my insomnia kind of came back last night. It comes and goes sometimes. So I didn't really get a whole lot of sleep last night. But one of the good things is that I was up reading about the this news. So if you haven't heard, I'm assuming that if you are watching this, you probably have heard. The news about Spider-Man is now entering the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Spider-Man, nerds rejoice. If you hang out with a lot of nerds like I do, this is a really big deal. They really wanted Spider-Man to return to Marvel's hand. So Spider-Man is going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, what exactly does this mean? The deal that Sony and Marvel had or have come to is extremely confusing to some people. It's a very complicated deal. Something like this, to get two studios to sort of come together and have two separate characters like this. Is a pretty big deal. Something like this hasn't happened really since, say, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when Warner Brothers and Disney got together and they decided to put their cartoon characters, Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny, in the same film. Something like that, it's long been said would never happen again because the logistics and the expense behind that would be just really complicated and very expensive. But we have this now. So what does all this mean? There's a lot of confusion from some people who might not be too well versed into the how film rights work and stuff like that. So a little bit of a brief overview of some of the legal stuff and whatnot. So Marvel Studios is the well. Let me backtrack. Disney, of course, owns Marvel Comics. Disney owns that company. It is theirs. As far as the film rights go, so when you're watching like the Avengers or Captain America or Thor or any one of those Marvel Cinematic Universe films, Disney does not own, or Marvel does not own the film rights to, and they still don't own the film rights to Spider-Man or X-Men. Those are owned by, Spider-Man is owned by Sony, and X-Men and those characters are owned by Fox. So Marvel Studios does not own the film rights to those characters. When you watch a non-Marvel Cinematic Universe film, you still have a Marvel logo that pops up at the beginning. So if you watched X-Men Days of Future Past or the Spider-Man films or whatever, the logo that pops up is Marvel, because it's just Marvel, because those characters are still owned by Marvel, but the cinematic rights are not. When you watch a film that takes place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like the Avengers or Thor or whatever, it's Marvel Studios. Marvel Studios is the company. So it's a little bit different there, a little bit of a simplified version of that aspect of it. But what about this deal? So what does this deal to bring Spider-Man into the universe mean? basically, it's the two studios are going to be pretty much playing in each other's sandboxes. That's the way that I described it to a couple people. Sony still has complete creative control. They have final say over the character. They still own the film rights to the character. They are still fronting the bill for any standalone Spider-Man films. They are still responsible for distribution of the Spider-Man films. But they have come to a deal which allows Spider-Man to go over and play in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Which means that Marvel can now, going forward, write the character of Spider-Man into their future films. So there's a lot of rumors that the first movie that you'll see Spider-Man in terms of the cinematic universe will be Captain America Civil War. It just makes sense. That storyline in the comics heavily involves Spider-Man. And there were a lot of rumors that popped up a while ago that that Marvel had written two versions of the script, one with Spider-Man, one without, because they were actively trying to get, we know via the Sony hack, that they were actively trying to get Sony to come to a deal where Spider-Man would be in the cinematic universe, would come over and be a part of it. So that's that. Spider-Man is going to be able to play in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and vice versa. The Marvel characters are currently being, at least one of the updated reports that I had read earlier says that the possibilities of some Marvel characters going over and playing in the Spider-Man sandbox, in the Sony sandbox, is a possibility as well. So you could see some some Marvel characters now go over into the Spider-Man universe and go play with the web crawler. So again, what exactly? There's a caveat to all this, especially to the standalone stuff, because like I said before, Sony still has complete creative control over the character. They're still responsible for financing all the films. They're still responsible for distribution of the films and so on and so forth. With one caveat, Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is he is the producer of all the Marvel cinematic stuff. So the Avengers and Captain America and Thor, Ant-Man, all those things. The Avengers. That's all Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is pretty much the mastermind. He's the guy he's the man with the plan. He's the one that has all these films planned out from now until infinity. No pun intended. But he's got all these films supposedly planned out. So Kevin Feige will be co-producing the standalone Spider-Man film with Amy Pascal, who I'm not sure if she's stepped down yet, but Amy Pascal is the chairwoman of Sony Pictures, who is going to step down in light of Sony hack, because there were some really bad emails that came out of that Sony hack that she kind of had egg on her face for. Very not nice emails. But because that Sony hack, we also knew that Sony and Marvel had in fact talked about getting the Spider-Man character over to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So Amy Pascal will be co-producing that standalone film with Kevin Feige. And former producer Avi Arad and the other guy, I cannot remember the other producer's name at the moment, but they will be stepping away as producer and becoming given executive producer credit on the new standalone film, which comes out in July of 2017. The Amazing Spider-Man, or I don't even know if it's going to be called Amazing Spider-Man. That's the other thing. It hasn't been confirmed yet as far as what I've seen, but I don't think Andrew Garfield is coming back. This is going to be a fresh take, another Spider-Man reboot, if you will, of the character. So there will be another actor stepping in to the role, and they will be able to go back and forth between the two universes. Between the Marvel Universe and the Spider-Man Universe. But Kevin Feige's role in all this, I think, is very important, because I don't know exactly how much creative control Sony is going to be giving Marvel, because when all is said and done, the character is still theirs. They can do whatever the hell they want with it. If they decide to go one way, they can go one way. But I think Kevin Feige's role in all this is just to make sure that, now that Spider-Man is playing in their universe, I think it's more just to make sure that the character is, whatever they do in a standalone film is just consistent with whatever goes on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's going to be a lot of, really back and forth planning between these two studios, because they've got to be on the same page. If Sony decides to do something else, Marvel's got to kind of be the guiding force here to make sure that whatever they do just doesn't interfere with whatever they're doing in the cinematic universe. So that's that. I'm still a little dubious on exactly how much control Sony is going to be giving Feige and team over over the standalone films, because it's still their character. I mean, Marvel can't just come in there and bully Sony and say, hey, we want to do it this way, because they don't own the character still. It is still Sony's character. They can do whatever the hell they want. So if it's Hollywood. I mean, and this deal is very complicated. Like, if you go and if you physically read the press release and everything that's involved in this deal, it's a very complicated deal. And like I said at the beginning of this, it's probably one of the most complicated things to have two studios cross like this since Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when Disney, and Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny were in the same movie. I mean, that held the same frame of celluloid. So, and it's probably a very expensive thing too for for both studios to do. But the fans were asking for this. They've had a very sour taste in their mouths because of the last three Spider-Man films. And given Marvel's track record, a lot of them wanted, Spider-Man to go back to Marvel. That hasn't actually happened. So it is just now both studios are going to be playing in each other's toy boxes. They're going to be, like I said, Spider-Man's going to be going over and playing in the Marvel universe every once in a while, and maybe some of the Marvel characters will be going over and playing in the Spider-Man universe for a while. But the one thing that people really need to realize about this is that it's still their character. Marvel does not own the character, the film rights to that character, so it is still Sony's thing. When all this first started coming up and talk was rumors and stuff like that, I just couldn't see Sony selling the character back to Marvel. If anything was going to happen, they were going to have to work out a deal like this where the character was able to go over and play in the Marvel universe. But now, like I said before about the whole creative control thing, exactly how much creative control I don't know, but and I'm a little dubious of that. But I would like to think that Sony learned their lesson from the last two films and have Marvel be their, hold their hand as they go ahead and once again reboot this character, because, Marvel's track record is there, man. I'm not saying that I've had issues with a lot of the Marvel films, the Marvel Studio films that have come out recently, but, they're very good at what they do. So, I mean, it would behoove Sony to have Marvel guide them here. But let's face it, nobody cares about that. Everybody cares about the fact that you will see Spider-Man occupying the same space and exchanging banter with the likes of Iron Man and Tony Stark and Thor, and Captain America, Ant-Man, and all these new characters that are coming. Now, there was something that happened as well. Some of the Marvel Phase 3 films have been pushed and delayed a little bit. Thor, Ragnarok, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and Inhumans have all been pushed back. And this is more. This isn't really because of financing or whatever. This is more because Marvel is now going to have to work Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, leading into Infinity War, Part 1, Part 2, all that stuff. So they're going to be taking their time trying to work this character into as much as they can into their universe. So there you go. So there's that. Spider-Man is now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know, I didn't want to. You know, I know people have talked about this to death already, but you know, I would be amiss if I didn't talk about it myself. So there you go. So Marvel is or Spider-Man is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hallelujah! Praise the Lord! Praise the Lord! You know, whatever. We'll see how this all goes. Something like this, I am always dubious of, especially when it comes to Hollywood. I am always dubious about this type of stuff. I'm hoping it turns out for the better, but we'll see. Yes, but it is going to be fun seeing. I do think that the first time you'll see Spider-Man will be in Civil War. They could throw you a bone and maybe put, you know, Spider-Man in like an after credit sequence in the Avengers or something like that, or even Ant-Man. But they're gonna have to hurry up and recast that role because I'm pretty sure Garfield is out, and Mark Webb is out as well, which I'm okay with because I really didn't like their take on the character or the films. So especially that last one. The last one was absolutely horrendous. But yeah. So that's it, guys. Just wanted to pop in and give my little take on the whole Spider-Man and the Marvel Cinematic Universe thing. And then, you know, it is what it is. So congratulations, sweaty nerds. As Mr. John Schnepp says on AMC Movie Talk, congratulations. And Spider-Man's in the universe. He's probably going to show up on the Avengers at some point. But anyway, all right, guys. I'll talk to you guys later.